Legends. Creatures we admire for their extraordinary strength and courage. But even legends have moments of weakness, moments when the world seems to crumble around them. Meet the outlaw of the savannah, the honey badger, a creature renowned for its fearlessness, one who has faced lions, cobras, and even hyenas. A living legend, but today, this legend faces an enemy it cannot see, an enemy it cannot fight with its claws or teeth, an enemy that is slowly killing it, drop by drop. This is the story of downfall and salvation, of small creatures that can defeat the strongest, and of saviors who come from the most unexpected places. Today, I will tell you about the battle the honey badger almost lost. Look closely at this creature. This is the honey badger we once knew, the bravest of the savannah. But now, something has changed. Its steps are no longer steady. Its eyes are no longer sharp. Its body, once a symbol of strength, is now just an exhausted shell. What happened? Not lions, not venomous snakes, not hyenas, but creatures so small you have to look closely to see them. Thousands of ticks, tiny parasites, sucking its blood day after day, hour after hour. Honey badgers can fight off the biggest predators, but they cannot fight off those they cannot see. That is the secret of the savannah. The most fearsome enemy is often the most invisible. Day after day, the relentless itching tormented it. It scratched, it rubbed, it twisted its body in an attempt to find some relief, but in vain. Its body couldn't reach the attacked areas. Each day, the ticks burrowed deeper, sucked more blood, and left wounds it couldn't heal. Its thick skin, which had once protected it from all predators, now only made it more helpless, because beneath that skin, there were softer, weaker areas where the tiny enemy could attack. Around its eyes, around its nose, under its belly, places where even a honey badger couldn't defend itself. It wandered aimlessly, exhausted and lonely. The vast savannah had become colder and more cruel than ever. Was this truly the end of a legend? Look closer. Those tiny black dots are clinging to the honey badger's skin. They are ticks, parasites belonging to the Ixodidae family. Each one is only the size of a fingertip, but thousands of them are sucking the blood of an animal hundreds of times larger than themselves. Not just blood, they also carry deadly pathogens. Bacteria, other parasites, silently infiltrate the honey badger's body, weakening it from the inside. This is a battle the honey badger cannot win with brute force, because when you fight an enemy you can't see, you don't know where to strike. I've seen many creatures die from starvation, from being hunted, from fighting, but few know that there is a death even slower and more painful. A death drained away, drop by drop. The honey badger is experiencing that. It can't fight, it can't run away, it can only stand there, feeling its body being worn down day by day, and for the first time in its life, the bravest of them all. The steppe began to think about giving up. In the natural world, the strong don't always win. Sometimes, it is the smallest creatures that can bring down the greatest warrior. That's the lesson the honey badger is learning. A painful, cruel, but meaningful lesson. But the story of this legend is not over yet, because on the steppe, even in the most desperate moments, hope often comes from the most unexpected places. And then, amidst the silence of the steppe, a sound rang out, the cheerful chirping of a flock of birds from the sky. Red-billed birds, tiny creatures with gray-brown feathers and bright red beaks. They were born by nature with a special purpose. They don't hunt, they don't compete, they have a different job, cleaning parasites from the skin of larger animals. And they spotted the honey badger. The flock of birds swooped down, fearless, without hesitation. They landed on the honey badger's body and began their work. Their sharp beaks began picking up ticks, one by one. The honey badger was startled. It wasn't used to something touching its skin without attacking. But then, it realized something. The itching was subsiding. The pain was disappearing. Instead, there was a feeling of relief it hadn't felt in weeks. It lay down, closed its eyes, and let its little saviors do their work. See this miracle, a special bond between two completely different creatures. The red-billed birds are doing what the honey badger can't do on its own. They are freeing it from its torment, not by force, not by courage, but by cooperation, by a symbiotic relationship that nature had ordained millions of years ago. The red-billed birds had a protein-rich meal. The honey badger had relief. Both benefited, both survived. It was a connection no creature could create alone, a miracle only nature could bestow. The flock worked tirelessly. They cleaned every patch of skin, every wound, every corner the honey badger couldn't reach on its own. On its back, on its belly, under its neck, places where the invisible enemy had hidden. And little by little, the legend was being revived. And then, the work was done. The flock of red-billed birds soared into the sky, their joyful cries echoing across the savannah. They had done what they were born to do. The honey badger stood up. For the first time in weeks, its body was free from pain. Its skin was clean. Its blood was no longer being drained drop by drop. Its eyes, once dull and weary, now blazed with the fire of life. Its breath grew stronger. Its steps became more steadfast. The legend had returned, not because it had fought and won, but because it had been saved by tiny creatures it would never have fought alongside. The nightmare was over. The burden had been lifted, and the outlaw of the steppe continued its journey, stronger, more resilient, and more grateful. But perhaps most importantly, it carried with it a lesson. Even the strongest need help sometimes. As it walked, I realized that the steppe is not just a place of cruelty and competition. It is also a place of connection, of help, of miraculous relationships that we rarely see. Honey badgers cannot survive without red-billed birds, and the red-billed bird wouldn't have a meal without the honey badger. That's the balance of nature, a perfect, delicate, and meaningful balance. We often think of survival as a battle, but perhaps true survival is cooperation. It's about giving and receiving. It's about realizing that we can't do everything alone. And that's the lesson the honey badger learned today. As the sun began to set over the savannah, I saw a beautiful image. The honey badger, a legend of courage, was walking with renewed vitality. The red-billed bird, the little saviors, was soaring in the sky. Both had found their place. Both had learned a valuable lesson. For the honey badger, it was humility, the lesson that even the strongest have moments of weakness, and that help can come from the most unexpected places. For the red-billed bird, it was patience. The lesson is that their work, however small, can make a huge difference in the lives of others. And for us, the observers, it's an understanding that in this world, no one truly exists alone. We are all connected in ways we may not see. Life can push you to the brink of helplessness, but believe that help will always come to those who refuse to give up. That is the lesson of the prairie, and that is the lesson of life. Today, we have witnessed a miracle, not a great battle, not a resounding victory, but a connection, a collaboration, a relationship without which a legend might have ended. Ask yourself, in your life, who are your little saviors? Those who appear when you seem to have fallen, those who help you get back on your feet when you have no strength left. And more importantly, are you willing to accept help when you need it? Because ultimately, the savannah has taught us that survival isn't about fighting alone. It's about realizing that we are stronger when we are together. The honey badger learned that today. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson the savannah can teach anyone. Open your heart, accept help, and never forget that even the strongest need a helping hand sometimes. Have you ever experienced a moment where it seemed like everything was over, but then a miracle happened? Share your story in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to follow more stories from the wild. See you in the next episode.